Hey everybody, we are in Holden as we continue our journey around town talking with town officials and business owners. And Holden's a great town, and we are with Fire Chief Russell Hall. Chief, welcome to your office.
Hey, thank you, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about the fire department in town. How many people do you have on staff, and any cool things that you may have done in the past few months that the public should be aware of?
Well, the fire department, we've progressed quite a bit over the last 10 years here. In 2009, the fire department, we took over the provision of the ambulance services for the town of Holden. Since then, we've added significant staff so that we can, respond to all the calls that we need to respond to. So currently, we have 23 full-time firefighters and EMS personnel, deputy chief, myself. It's 25 full-time, and then we have 20 call firefighters that come back as needed, and they can supplement the full-time staff.
So when I was living in Holden many decades ago, I think they just had a couple paid staffers, and everybody was on call, right? So whenever you'd hear a siren, you'd always see pickup trucks with those flashers on the dashboard running through town to get to the fire station. Can't have that today in a town this big, right?
No, you're right. So back in the 90s, we had a handful of full-time staff, I think 2 or 3, that was here during the day. They responded to calls with the private ambulance service that we had in town. And we had about 40 to 50 call firefighters. Big contingent, very, very big contingent of call firefighters here. But as things changed, as we took over the ambulance and we needed more specialized paramedics and EMTs to respond to calls, we needed people here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to respond in the ambulances. Things kind of shifted. So maybe over the last 10 years, 5 years, really, we've really shifted more to a career department. It's called technically a combination department because we have both full-time and call staff.
Okay.
But our call volume alone has increased dramatically since 2009 when we took over the ambulance. We came about 30 calls short of 3,000 calls last year,
Okay.
Which was a 35% increase over the last 2 years. So we've been very busy.
Now, describe to me the difference between a call firefighter and a volunteer firefighter.
There's no difference.
No difference.
There's no difference. The only difference is the semantics. So all volunteer and call firefighters in the state of Massachusetts generally attend the fire academy at Massachusetts State Fire Academy in Stowe or Springfield. They go through a recruit training program. They come out with their firefighter 1-2 certification. The real difference is some towns call them volunteers because they're unpaid. Mm-hmm. And call firefighters could be unpaid, or they could get a stipend for calls, or they could have an hourly rate. That's the only difference.
Okay. As far as equipment in town, 2 stations.
Correct.
Right, one down by, I still call it Iandoli's, but
Down by Dunkin'
Dunkin'
Donuts, yeah.
Dunkin'. How many units in there?
So we have 2 Class 1 pumpers down there, Engine 1 and Engine 3. We've always run 2 engines out of that station, but that was primarily a call station for years and years and years because back in the day, DPW workers had to be part of the fire department. So they staffed engines during the day,
Yep.
which gave us great coverage. But as time progressed, that went away. Most of the DPW people now that were part of the fire department have retired and moved on. So now we operate that station kind of as a combination station. So it is staffed 7 days a week by 2 firefighter, EMTs, and paramedics, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. So we run an ambulance out of there now as well. We have an outbuilding that we constructed about 3 years ago where we store the ambulance.
So for that side of town, which is significant population base, it sure cuts down a response time for the having not to have to come through the center of town depending upon what time of day it is, right?
Absolutely. We found that our response times are fantastic to that end of town, which was kind of our goal when we started. So if I roll it back a little bit, in 2019 we were awarded a federal SAFER grant to hire staff, which the federal government gave us close to $1 million to hire 6 firefighters. And that enabled us to open that station and staff it 7 days a week, which it made a big difference to the people that live down that end of town. I mean, like you said yourself, the population base is huge down there. A lot of single-family homes, and the traffic in town makes our response times from this end
Absolutely.
difficult. So
Absolutely. What are the biggest challenges looking up at the next 5 years as far as the fire service is concerned?
So our biggest challenges, the first and foremost, is staffing, recruitment and retention. We've seen a big dramatic change in those people that want to do this job, as in any public service job, especially after the pandemic.
Well, that was going to ask what COVID's impact was on people that, because you can't say that we're closed for 2 weeks.
Right, exactly.
Right? You can't put the sign up say see you in the spring.
Yeah, so I mean, COVID had a huge impact on our department and the service, because we're just not seeing the people that want to do this job anymore, whether it's from the call side or even career. I mean, because we depend on people that go to school, become paramedics, become EMTs, want to get into this business. And it's hard for us, as when people leave and go to another department, it's hard for us to replace them. I think that's going to be a big challenge over the next 5 years. Now, maybe it'll turn, but I haven't seen it. So, and COVID, like I said, COVID was difficult. We managed it very well here. We had a lot of policies, procedures, protocols in place. We're lucky to have somebody on staff here that has a public health background, so he was able to work with the state and the epidemiologists to keep us on the cutting edge, us and the town. I mean, we did all the testing for town employees here. We had a whole setup. Yeah.
How about growth in town? Is that a challenge? Doesn't seem to be as many areas where they can build, 50 or 75 homes like there used to be a while ago, but has growth slowed so that it's not as not like Rutland?
Yeah, I think growth was pretty substantial over the last 5 to 7 years. You did see a big slowdown with COVID. Everything came to a halt. New growth kind of halted, but I think you're seeing it starting to pick back up again. You'd be surprised how many places they can build 7, 8 house cul-de-sacs, and right now we have an 86 home subdivision going in off of Union Street. So we're going to be adding some significant, services that we're going to have to provide down there. But yeah, I think the town's going to continue growing until it's fully grown. I think the master plan shows that it could build out to 30,000 people.
And we're at 20?
We're at 20,000 now,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you and I will both be retired by then. We want to thank you so much. The only other thing I want to say is it unique to see a police and fire facility combined, or is that pretty much the norm now? Because at one time, most of the towns around here, police were in one area and fire was in another, but since this new building, what is it, 15 years old?
2010 we moved in here.
Okay, so
almost 13 years.
13 years old.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much the norm within the public safety
yeah,
industry, if you will?
I think you're seeing a lot of towns that are combining your police and fire departments into one building now. I think, it's better for the town, for the residents, because they can go to it's one-stop shopping, right? You have your communication center if you need to talk to somebody. You have your police department, you have your fire department. It's usually a facility that the town can utilize, whether it's a training room or anything like that. And, I think it's better for the departments. Better continuity amongst the fire and police for us to be in the same building. We have better communication, better lines of communications. We see each other. If we have to go down and talk to one of the officers, we go down and talk to one of the officers. In the dispatch center as well. If they're here, it's very easy for us to walk downstairs and have a conversation with them, a meeting with them, instead of it being in a different facility. So I think you see that more and more now.
Great. Well, we want to thank you so much for taking time from your busy day to talk with us. Let us know a little bit about what's going on in the great town of Holden behind the scenes.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you.